This one back to me.
Okay. Um, Thank you very much, Mr. and Madam Chairpersons, distinguished guests, my former colleague, still my colleague, Mr. Fode Jabi, the CEO, the President, executives of Clean the Gambia, um, delegates, good evening to you all. It is much of an honor for me to have been invited to share a platform with you on this very important occasion. The name Clean the Gambia is very imperative, and it must have been meticulously chosen so that it aligns with the goals and aspirations of the people that came together to drive a force with the primary goal of seeing the Gambia being clean. And therefore, it is just not an organizational goal, but it addresses our attitudes. In it, in that we have to keep a Gambia that is clean. And it is therefore much of an honor that I am invited today to speak on the subject or on the theme, Stop Littering, Together We Can Make a Better Gambia. So far, the earlier speakers and the earlier presentations that we have seen have made my comment very easy in the sense that they have approached the topic and the goals at different angles, and it could have been just easy for me to come and make a conclusion of their speeches. One of the speakers talked about our responsibilities as citizens. And we understand that we cannot have a Gambia that is clean if as citizens we are not aware of our responsibilities and we are not committed to what we can do for our environments. And so it becomes a civic duty and a nationalized idea to keep a clean Gambia. I therefore wish my congratulations to the executive and particularly the young ladies that I have seen in the executive, because the activities that they are involved in are things that many young people, especially young beautiful ladies, would not engage in. But this is not what they see. They have seen a country that we have to develop, that we have to make better, that has to prosper, and this must be based or must be built on the individual commitments that we make. Collectively, we are going to achieve very great things. A sanitation engineer, a pioneer, Sir Edwin Chadwick, once said, "The sanitary condition of people is the true measure of their civilization." So we want to measure how civilized are we as a nation and as a people. And according to this sanitation pioneer, then we have to look at how sanitized our environments are. If my environment is not clean, I cannot claim to be a civilized person. I can dress very well, put on the most vibrant clothing, and probably smell the best perfumes, but maybe at my backyard, there's a stinking stench that is coming from the waste that is deposited in that environment. And that is littering. By definition, we will say that it is any waste product that has been improperly discarded. So anything that we discard into our environment, which is not properly discarded, becomes a waste. And so, what do we do to stop the littering? First, we need to understand that there are penalties that we have to pay when we litter our environments. Because for every food wrap that you throw, for every pile of waste that we gather in our environments, there are repercussions that it has. I am going to be a bit biased in the sense that most of my speech is going to be centered around the health implications, probably because I'm a healthcare worker. But if we want to talk about the significance of littering to our environment, we will not be able to exhaust that. So my speech is going to be narrowed down to the health implications. Unlike the original ideas that I was talking about, when we throw litters around, we are creating a blockage for our sewages. When we do that, we are also encouraging a pool of stagnant water. And this becomes a very vibrant breeding ground for mosquitoes, for pathogenic bacteria, fungi, and other parasites. These, in turn, can cause a lot of health problems. Mosquitoes can freely breed in the stagnant waters. And so they come back to give us a very deadly disease referred to as what? Malaria. Pathogenic bacteria could have their way into our houses. Houseflies can stop into stagnant water and other contaminated materials. And they can contaminate our food, our water, and other substances that we consume. By doing this, they can cause a lot of dangerous infectious diseases. And so, what we need to do to prevent ourselves from these things is to stop the littering. And when we do that, we are working towards keeping a better, more prosperous Gambia. Waste can also pollute the air and giving us an unclean air that we breathe in. This can be contaminated with pathogenic materials and they can be inhaled. When they go into our respiratory tract, they can cause infectious diseases like pneumonia. And so this will not only have some economic and health implications, but then it also poses a lot of public health implications, and we're going to look at that. Disposed waste in other instances have been found to be causing RTAs or road traffic accidents. For example, banana peels and other slippery substances that are thrown on our roads. And it can also poison our animals, marine lives as well as animals on land. When we throw our waste, bottles and other noxious material go into the sea and our lakes, and then they contaminate our fresh waters. This happens and marine animals or marine lives would consume them, sometimes mistaking them for food, and this can poison them. Once poisoned, we probably will not be able to know. We depend a lot on the consumption of food and other stuffs. And when we consume these things, the poison transfers into our body and it causes some pathological problems. Our bodies are dynamic in the sense that they're able to deal with a lot of waste products that go into them. But this is not always the situation. So as time goes on, it stresses our immune systems, and waste materials that we take from the food that we eat that is already contaminated or poisoned can cause a lot of stress to our livers, a lot of stress to our kidneys, and these can cause systemic problems. In the end, we get sick and we cannot recover from the sickness. And what finally happens is that we may lose our lives from that. But before you do, in between, you have to run between one healthcare clinic to another, between one doctor to another, and you have to spend a lot of money. Now, what happens is that this is not just a presentation of a problem, but also an economic degradation. And so, the only thing that can save us is to stop the littering. So with economic implications, we say littering of our environment causes economic catastrophe. This can be at both individual level and also at the level of the state, like we discussed earlier on. A sick person would have to spend a lot of money to recover. Sometimes the disease condition can be chronic, and which means that the person will never be able to recover from that. And then for the rest of their lives, what they keep doing is that they keep buying medications, they keep going to hospitals, they keep spending a lot of money. And the sad thing about this thing is that the victims of these situations are mostly from lowly income families. These are people who do not have very decent jobs, or sometimes they do not even have a job at all. There could be just one or two people in the family that is earning enough to put food on the table for everybody. And therefore the burden becomes, something bigger on them because in addition to trying to provide food and fend for the family, what else they need to do is what? Is also to cater for the medical bills for the sick people. And therefore it causes a lot of financial stress on them. On the side of the government will have to spend a lot, to solve this situation for the citizens. So a few days ago, I came across a publication from KMC, and according to them, KMC is spending over 2 million Gambian dollars on waste management. 2 million Gambian dollars. This is not every year. It is not even every quarter. It is every month. If you calculate, this will give you somewhere around 25 million Gambian dollars every day. So every year, for them to be able to take care of waste materials in our environments. Now, 25 million Gambian dollars could have been better, invested in other activities that would generate jobs for the youths. And therefore, a lot of people would have gained employment from that. But the negligent actions of one individual or few individuals contaminate our environments, and therefore, our states are going to bear the burden. And in turn, we also bear the burden because we, the young people, are going to be affected in the sense that opportunities that could have availed to us for economic gains are going to be missed because those funds are going to be redirected for all activities, for interventions. So we must stop littering. And we have to look at the way forward. What is the way forward? First, we say we have to strengthen education and awareness. When people are not educated or they are not aware, these are two different things, by the way. Education forces in awareness, but awareness can be without education. So when we make people aware of the repercussions of waste and littering in our environments, then we are halfway into solving the problem that we are dealing with. So the first thing that we must do is to educate and to increase awareness in our communities. At the side there, I was talking to Mr. Fodejabi, who is the head of Yalden-based Disciples School at the moment, and I asked him if they still have the same programs. It is one school that respects itself in the sense that disciplining their environment as well as being committed to the things that bring them good is something that is key and primary, and they don't joke with that. I know because I was there. So every day after the break period, students will have to go around and pick the litters. Every day when they close, they still have to go around the school campus and pick the litters again. And therefore, it's not a secret that all of the time guests will come and ask, how are you people able to keep your environment very clean and neat and smart all of the time? It is because they deem it necessary to inculcate it into the habits of the students. One thing that he added to me, that is the breaker for me, was that in fact nowadays we have the students being so passionate about picking the waste in the environment. And that is, even though there are penalties for those people who would fail to do it, they have been able to promote the idea of responsibility in the students so much that they have to be compassionate in doing it and not be forced to do it. This is the way forward. When we all do this, we are stopping littering in our communities and our environments. We have to enhance policy enforcement, which is the second way forward. The policies are there in place, and the question is whether they are being enforced. And therefore, I want to congratulate the KMC after I read their publication that people that are found wanting of littering within the KMC are liable to face a penalty of being fined for $1,000 or being sent to jail for at least 3 months. I think both penalties should have applied. That you still pay $1,000 and go to jail for 3 months. By the time you come back, nobody is going to throw litters into our environments. And if we want to stop littering, this is one thing that we must do. But as individuals, we have failed ourselves, and our governments have also failed us in the sense that we are able to, enact the laws, we are able to produce these laws, but we do not enforce the laws. And without the enforcement of these laws, we are failing. It is always one step backward into achieving a prosperous and a better Gambia. Ladies and gentlemen, the third one would be foster public and private partnerships. And this is one of the things that we have seen Clean the Gambia doing. Dedicating a good time during the weekend to go to a particular site and clear all the litters that they find around. One of the problems that we have seen that I was so flabbergasted about was the fact that our municipalities had to charge them money to be able to dispose the waste. Even though they are citizens that are helping the municipalities in their responsibilities, they still have to be charged extra money so that the waste can be carried from sites to disposable sites. So we must have public and private partnerships. And this encourages businesses to adopt eco-friendly practices and support community cleanups. I was talking to a friend someday and I said, if there was the law that every shop owner must have a dustbin, a waste bin in their shops, and therefore each time that there is litter around they have to put it there, then it becomes very easy for all of us. But how many times do you enter a shop and you find a waste bin there? How many times? A lot of businesses don't do that. And most of the waste that are disposed in our environments are coming from these businesses. The saddest thing is that the most contaminated parts seem to be the areas of our markets that sell food. And so we have to stop the littering if we want to see a better and prosperous Gambia. There must be community engagement. And this is something that we used to have in the previous government, that we have the set settle probably once every month, as the last Saturday of the month. It doesn't have to be that way, but at least these were giant steps that we took as a nation. And I believe that this must come back. In some other parts of the country, you have communities that have taken upon themselves that during particular times of the year, they would have to be clearing their environments every week or every month or so. And this is all dedicated towards the proper disposal of waste and the eradication of litters around their environments. And this would breed us a better Gambia. Distinguished guests, the fight against littering is not just an environmental imperative. It is a moral obligation. And therefore, as moral citizens, we have to take responsibilities. So let us renew our commitment for this noble cause. Let us resolve to make every day an opportunity to clean, protect, and properly dispose of waste from our homes and our communities. Together, we can transform the Gambia into a clean, sustainable, and resilient country and waste-free. Congratulations to Clean the Gambia. Thank you very much.